but I am pausing the
off. All right. Well, since we're all sitting here in awkward silence, I think we might start a minute early if we don't mind. So, well, first of all, welcome to Buffalo. We're at Wyoming Workforce Development Council. Really excited to be here. Beautiful little town nestled by the Bighorn Mountains. And we've got a really cool agenda over today and tomorrow, visiting, different industries, talking about a lot of really important projects, getting updates on things. So just really excited to welcome all of you, both online as well as here in person in Buffalo. And so I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. And then just as far as housekeeping notes goes, I think everyone knows where the restrooms are. It's just right out this door, down the stairs, women on the left, men on the right. And then we've got some water and snacks for you as we kind of move out throughout the meeting. And I'll be chairing this meeting because Fabian, unfortunately, was unable to attend, but obviously sends his warmest regards. So, all right. So I'm going to go ahead and ask Jennifer, if you don't mind doing roll call and introductions, please.
Governor Mark Gordon or designee. Senator Fred Baldwin. Representative Ryan Berger.
Here. Did you hear me?
Pull up the participants.
Yep.
I believe she's. Representative Berger.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Jim Engel.
Present.
Ron Wild.
Present.
Tony Cross.
Present.
Dick Smith. Acting Chair Eric Trowbridge.
Present.
Larry Fodor.
Present.
Michael Kircher. Bria Hammock.
Present.
Fabian Librera. Tina Conley. Mark Madsen. Nathan Williams.
Present.
Philip Cornella.
Here.
Brenda Morgan.
Present.
Tiffany Marshall.
Present.
Tiffany, can you unmute and let us know you're here?
Yep, present. Hello? Hello?
I can hear you, Tiffany. This
Yeah.
is Kristen.
Oh, thank you, Kristen.
Yeah, I can see that she's on. Just can't hear you, Tiffany. And Representative Berger.
Yeah, this
Okay,
is Representative
fix
Berger.
that.
Can you
But
hear
she's
me?
here. Danny Bureau.
Present.
Charles Wilson. Tammy Johnson. Director Robin Cooley.
Present.
Commissioner Robert Short. Nikki Harper.
Present.
Mayor Matt Hall. Superintendent Dagenfelder or designee. I see her on. She just sent me a text. Josh Durrell or designee. Corinne Schmidt or designee. Dr. Sandra Caldwell.
Present.
Katie Hogarty. Travis Lawrence.
Present.
Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum.
Awesome. Thank you, Jennifer. All right, moving right along, using our new board software and as well as email materials, all of you should have had the opportunity to review today and tomorrow's agenda. So I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda as written.
So moved.
All right, moved by Mr. Ron Wild. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Biro. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Motion passes.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I just received a text message saying that the Zoomers were having difficulty being heard here in the room.
Yes. Okay, we may have fixed the IT. So one of you that were having trouble, can you please just try again before we move on to the approval of the May minutes?
Hi, this is Tiffany.
Hi, Tiffany. Yes, coming through
Oh,
loud and
alright.
clear. So you are good.
This is Representative Berger.
Awesome. Thank you, Representative Berger. We can hear you
Perfect.
loud. I think our IT issues are now resolved. Great job, team. All right, moving on to our next agenda item. All of you should have been able to review our agenda. Again, one of the advantages of the onboard platform is that you have the ability to review meeting materials way ahead of time and also make private notes within the software when you went through the orientation. So looking at our May approval of May minutes, they're attached here for you to review. I would entertain a motion to approve.
Mr. Chairman, this is Sandy Caldwell, and I wanted to mention whether or not you want to make edits to that. But that meeting was in Rock Springs. It currently lists Cheyenne, Wyoming. And it also lists that I was on Zoom, but I was present in Rock Springs. So I don't know how you want to handle just some of those minor changes.
Thanks for bringing that to attention, Dr. Caldwell. So we're just doing a quick double check. And we can also make those edits now in real time. Any other questions or clarification around the May minutes?
I believe we had a first to approve. This is Jim. I'll make a second to approve the minutes as written
Okay, so move.
with the amendments, correct, with the amendments from Cheyenne and Caldwell being present.
All right, do we have a second on that?
Mr. Chairman, I second.
All right, seconded by Brenda. All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion passes. All right, so the approval of the May minutes, we're now moving into message from the chairman. So as I mentioned earlier before, Fabian was unable to join us, so I'm your acting chair for today and tomorrow. So very happy to be here. And just kind of like want to kind of give you some quick updates for the council to digest and have some interesting ideas as we go throughout the next 2 days. But first of all, welcome to Buffalo. Really excited to be here. The hospitality of Buffalo for hosting us. As you know, it's really our duty as the Wyoming Workforce Development Council to visit as many communities as we can and talk with, what's going on in industry, what's happening in Wyoming so that we can make informed decisions. So just a few things that I wanted to make sure that all of you were just kind of aware of that we can kind of continue the conversation on throughout. Which is, you may have noticed, first of all, that that we have a few new faces or names that are a part of our council. So one of the things that I'm very proud about is Wyoming is one of the few states, as of the last time I checked, that we've continued to maintain a very well-staffed council. So we've got a lot of really great new awesome individuals that are joining us. So the two that I would like to, you probably knew that we're going to be making a transition. Ivy will be joining the Wyoming Department of Workforce Services here come October. So we're excited to welcome Ivy into that position. But we have two new council members today that I would like, if you wouldn't mind, just a 1 or 2 minute introduction. Like, tell us who you are. Why did you want to be a part of the Workforce Council, and what do you bring to this team? All of you were selected by the governor, and so I'm curious to see what you have to say. So we've got two amazing new individuals, Tiffany Marshall, as well as Bria Hammock. So I will call on Bria. So Bria, you want to introduce us to yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. So my name is Bria Hammock. I am super excited to be here with all of you guys today. A little bit of background about me, I guess. I am a senior creative director at Madden, which is an agency that deals with travel and tourism, and have been a career graphic designer for the last 20 years and have kind of stepped into that creative leadership role in the last 6 or 7 years. In addition to that, I also am a painter and a fine artist, and so own my own fine art company, I guess, for lack of a better term. And exciting news, actually just signed a lease to open a brick and mortar in that vein in downtown Cheyenne early next year. So a lot of irons in the fire always, but that's typically how I operate. I'm really excited to be here specifically, though, because I am obviously very entrenched in the creative community in Cheyenne and Wyoming. And I'm excited to be able to bring that experience to a different conversation and a larger picture. And I am so excited and thankful that you guys are allowing me to have a seat at this table. So thanks.
Thank you, Bria. All right, Tiffany, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, I'm Tiffany Marshall. I'm so sorry I'm not there with you guys. My daughter's having some issues, so I had to cancel my trip and stay here with her. I'm the executive director of the Memorial Hospital Foundation down here in Sweetwater County. My role is to support our local healthcare in any and every way possible.
Yeah, we may have some internet issues here, Tiffany, because you're kind of breaking up a little bit.
Oh, no. Is it any clearer now?
In Zoom land, we can hear Tiffany loud and clear.
Well, that's good to know. At least our assumers can stick together, huh?
Yes.
Another example of why broadband in Wyoming is very, very important. Thank you, Mr. Goldberg, on the Wyoming Business Council for focusing on that. Well, Tiffany, I think what we'll do, I mean, if it's on record and recording, but we definitely want to, have a very warm welcome to both Tiffany Marshall and Bria Hammock to the Workforce Council. So if you don't mind, a little quick round of applause to our new town council members. Yeah, and that's one of the things that Fabian and I are very passionate about as vice chair and chair, is really getting a diverse group of people on this council that are really passionate about the future of Wyoming and how we're going to work together on its strategies and all that stuff. So, obviously it all begins with the people that are around this table, being able to represent their individual regions, their individual industries. So, I was just ecstatic to hear, when the governor's announcement to appoint these two individuals, and we're very happy to have you. So just kind of like, we're going to move on to chairman notes. So, again, Fabian gives all of you his best regards, but I kind of thought about what I would like to kind of give all of you a quick update on. There's been a lot of things that have happened. I hope that all of you, first of all, had a wonderful summer. I always feel like between the May meeting and the September meeting, it's just like forever. It feels like forever. And then all of a sudden we're just with each other all the time. So one of the things that Fabian and I we're not going to have a thorough discussion on this today. We're just kind of putting it out there for all of you to think about, which is, as you all know, we have 4 quarterly council meetings, and we obviously, usually what we do is we pick 2 different cities come May, September. We usually go to Casper in November, and then we attend Cheyenne in February. As we all know, Wyoming winters can be a tough time to travel, especially the February meeting. It's been many times that we've had to, unfortunately, due to weather conditions, have a remote only meeting. So just want to let all of the council know that there are conversations around, and again, using the onboard platform, we're happy to keep the conversation going. What is the interest in potentially, at least with the February meeting, making it remote only? You know, the Cheyenne one in February. So we just want to kind of start that conversation. But also what Fabian and I would like to announce as well too is it's very important. So if we decide to kind of do one or two of our meetings more remote, you know, it's really important that when we have our in-person meetings in May and September, that you please make every effort to be here in person, because I don't know about all of you, it's a different experience instead of sitting behind a Zoom call for 4.5 hours. It's not very fun, but it's so much more fun when we're sitting around the table, we're having engaging conversations, we're going to lunch, we're going to dinner, we're talking through some of the issues. So that's just, again, I want to put that on all of your radars, that we're thinking about that. If you have any ideas right now, I think the motion on the table, or kind of what we're thinking through, is that Cheyenne at least would become remote only, because the February timeframe is just the most difficult. Maybe November, we're not sure, but I just want to let you all know we're thinking about that, but really putting importance, because I think, you know, one of my favorite things about coming to these meetings in person is going to our industries. Like, we're going to be going to Mountain Meadow Wool, you know, later this afternoon. It's so fun to like go and see and meet these business owners. It's so fun to go to the workforce count, you know, our one-stop centers, and meet their managers and meet the participants and talk to them. There's just so much value. So just keep that in the back of your head. And we can kind of touch on that later. And then obviously, we will announce our 2024 locations in November of 2024. So Chairman Fabian, he will make those announcements in November. As you all know, we made a big upgrade to our software platform, Onboard. So I know. So hopefully I hope that you find, excuse me, all of this has been really helpful. Have all of your meeting minutes, all of your materials. I mean, it's been great to see how many of you have been engaged, even just in the general council conversation. It's so awesome that now we can keep talking. We can keep talking even after our quarterly meeting. So that's the whole point of this ongoing conversation. Again, as Jennifer has reminded, I think all of you in our trainings, you know, do not do any kind of business related activities on Onboard. This is public information. So we want to not do anything there where we might have like a digital quorum when we're not supposed to have a digital quorum. But I just think overall, we've worked 1.5 years on the board software, and I'm so great that we got really working stuff there. So please continue to use it. If you have any issues at all, please reach out to myself or Jennifer. We're happy to train you there. And then the last thing I want to give you an update on before we move on to our next agenda item, which is so we're a very lucky state. The state of Wyoming is a member state of what's called the NGA, or the National Governors Association. And the National Governors Association is basically, they bring together governors, state directors, state chairs, and vice chairs together twice a year. We have a summer symposium and a winter symposium in February in Washington, D.C. And we talk about, what is the state of Washington looking at? What is the state of Colorado? What is happening in Fargo, North Dakota in August, and it was a fascinating discussion to hear what the national conversation is happening around workforce development. So I just wanted to bring a few of the top of mind things. This is a 3-day thing, so there's a lot of data coming out. But first of all is that Wyoming is actually, based on a lot of these states that I met with in their delegations, we're actually in a really good spot, believe it or not. So great job, everyone. Great job to everyone in the Department of Workforce Services and on this council. We are one of the few states at this point that we have completed our strategic planning efforts, which we're going to be confirming tomorrow. So we're way ahead of the game in our strategic planning efforts. Like I mentioned earlier, we are one of the few states that pretty much we are fully staffed. A lot of states struggle with staffing their council, so we've got a really great team behind that. So I was just actually kind of like, oh, I'm really proud of Wyoming. I'm happy to wear the Wyoming badge for the National Governors Association. And then some of the topics that like high level came up at the National Governors Association. You probably have all heard. I'm just going to do a quick survey here as well, because I did this a few weeks ago. How many of you, raise your hand if you know what ChatGPT is? Okay, keep your hands up. How many of you knew what ChatGPT was 2 years ago? Okay. So the conversation is obviously AI, 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 AI. This is, being in the technology industry myself my entire lifetime, I've never seen a technology that has gone so rapidly from, kind of more privatized use to commercial and residential use. It's amazing stuff. But it is also something that is going to be a big topic of conversation around what does this mean for our workforce? So there was a lot of conversations around AI. What does it do? The White House actually, I think, recently convened about 3-4 weeks ago, a kind of AI ethics group that are going to be meeting regularly over the next 9 months to talk about the obviously benefits of using AI and potentially, the weaponization or the dangers of it. So it's a fascinating area. One of the things that stood out to me was they had presented a data slide that talked about the jobs that are in the United States. And the interesting thing that was taken away was we in the United States do not have enough people to fill all of the jobs currently available. We don't have enough warm biological bodies. So a lot of people may think that AI is like taking over automation, robotics, AI is taking like people's lives. No, we don't have enough people in the United States to actually fill all of the jobs that we're expecting to fill in the next decade. So a huge topic of conversation was how do we, which I would love this council to kind of start brainstorming as well, are different workforce populations that we might be able to either engage or re-engage with to get these people back into the workforce. So some of those examples, there were 5 of them. Those 5 were North Dakota had a large tribal nation and indigenous population. Is how do we better engage with these tribal nations and how do we get them into the workforce and get them the supplies that they need? Also about talking about the retired population in the workforce. How do we, if they want to stay retired, how do we get them engaged in the workforce? Youth is another big one. So youth, how do we continue to make sure that the youth are in there, as well as the incarcerated? And then lastly, because if we can't produce, because the thing that was really shocking is on a national level, fertility rates are dropping. The younger generations are not having kids, so there's not enough bodies to be able to fill these positions. So how do we do that? That's where AI, robotics, and automation might be able to help our economies stand themselves up. But immigration, talking about how do we bring people into the state of Wyoming and welcome them here to be a part of our workforce. So a lot of conversation around the infertility or the lower fertility rates of the younger generation. Strategic planning, and then our recruitment. So honestly, I walked away from those 2 meetings. It was so cool to meet with the other states and realize that a lot of the conversations that we're going to be having over today and tomorrow, a lot of the other states are dealing with the same thing, and so it's so good that we're able to collaborate and have a really good partnership and helping each other on a federal level and a state level and a multi-state level. So I'm just very proud of all of the work that all of you have done. I definitely walked away feeling like I was very happy to have Wyoming on my little name badge. I was like, yeah, I'm Wyoming. So so those are the notes that I had and just some of the high level takeaways. I probably will share more of that further on, but those are my meetings. And so obviously, what's next is what is happening, in the Department of Workforce Services, boots on the ground, our one-stop centers. Obviously to be able to deliver that, I welcome Director Cooley to provide us with our Department of Workforce Services update. Thank you, Director.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I come here every time and it's my mind is filled with all of the activities that we're doing in our agency. And so I think you've noticed, I did get the chairman and co-chair's permission to fill you in a little bit more routinely and with using Onboard, because I just forget so much of what I think you need to know. And by the time I get here, it's out the door and we're on to the next thing. So I'm trying to do that a little bit more in real time. So I hope that it doesn't fill up your inboxes too much. I also want to welcome the new council. We're pleased to have you here. I just want to give a plug to Go Slow, which is Bria's business. She's an incredible artist, and I've followed her for a couple of years, and I just think she's wonderful. And same to Tiffany. Thank you so much for agreeing to take this on and help us out with all of the efforts that we have going on in workforce around the state. I also want to thank Stacy Strasser and Michelle Butler, which I think is now Michelle Miller, for their work on the council. It was very much appreciated. Stacy in particular was on the council for a long time, was really passionate about youth and did a fantastic job in that area, providing us with some input in that area. So just want to make sure and mention that because it's so important to do that. I also want to thank everyone here in the room and online for the great discussion we had last meeting. It was difficult. It was passionate. It was it was a good conversation to have, because what it did for us in Workforce is it told us where your concerns are. It told us what you want to see from us. It told us where you're coming from. And, you know, I've been on a lot of boards, and in a lot of boards, you know, you come and you go and you don't really get that involved. And I can say about this council that you are involved, you're passionate, and we heard that at the last meeting. And I appreciate those comments. We're taking them to heart and we're working on that effort. And with that, what I wanted to start off with today is talking to you about budget, talking to you about what we are doing to assist our own efforts through other avenues so that we're not coming back to you again with similar requests. We've got our budget meeting, and I don't want to get ahead of the governor, but I do want you to know in general terms, we've got our meeting with the governor on the 25th, 8 in the morning, Monday morning on the 25th. And one of the first things that we're going to be asking for is a clawback of funds that we get, general funds we gave up when the governor for 2 years, I think 2 years in a row there, several years ago, asked for general funds back. What we did to do that, because we knew we couldn't lose people, was we adjusted funding sources. So we had people that were maybe partially funded with general funds, partially funded with federal funds, or all, you know, completely funded with federal funds. What we did is we took them and the work they did and better aligned it with the funding stream that they actually worked under. For instance, we have people in the workforce centers that work through various WIOA funding sources. If they were partially generally funded, what we did is we pulled in those WIOA funds to help fund their services, to help fund them as employees. And we gave up that general fund money. And that's how we, for both of those years, that's how we made our cuts, because we couldn't cut. I mean, we just physically couldn't cut. We couldn't cut people because we need them to be providing the services that are ever increasing in our workforce centers. So what we're doing now is we're clawing back those monies. And if we try to claw back those monies, and if we get them, I think that's going to make an incredible difference to our ability to actually then push those federal funds out into services around the state, instead of going to some of the things they're going to now. For instance, the compensation increases. So that's one thing that we're doing in that area in order to address that issue. But, you know, Wyoming is kind of at a tipping point as we look at all of the projects that are coming into the state. I mean, they're going into every corner of this state, and it's, I think that it's going to change the landscape, good or bad, and whether you like that or not, it's going to change the landscape of Wyoming in terms of revenue sources, but in terms of also the workforce needs that we've got around the state. We're hearing it from every corner of the state. We need people, we need bodies. We can't fill the positions. We've got one person for every 2 jobs out there. We can't fill the positions we have. We have several ideas and projects that we've got ready to go if we can get additional funding to get those going. One of them is, again, I think you've all heard about or potentially heard about with the Business Council and with the Office of Tourism, the Y Relocate program. We're asking for funds for that to really ramp it up and to wrap in our own Wyoming Grown program, which is the program where we've tried to reach out to individuals that have that Wyoming connection already, whether it's through UW or they grew up here and then they left for some other opportunity. We're trying to figure out ways we can reach out to those individuals, let them know these wonderful opportunities that are coming into the state and pull them back into the state and make that connection with those businesses that are actually hiring. So that's one idea. We've got another idea where we recognized a gap in some training around the state. We have training entities that come to us routinely. Hey, we've got this great program. We want to set it up. Is there anything you can do to help us? Because we know it's going to build your workforce. You're going to hear from one of them tomorrow. That's a wonderful program, the pre-veteran program. We've spoken with those individuals several times, and what a great way to make that connection for our veterans. Now we have veterans reps in our centers that are doing something similar, but this really sets them up for success with this training program. Is that a program we can set up where we know that it can't necessarily be set up quickly, at least in our community colleges or at UW? Is that the type of thing that maybe if we can develop another program in our training fund grant program and help those business entities come in here and provide training to some of these gap areas, that maybe we can make a difference in those areas too. So that's another idea we've got. We're also looking for additional funding for internship, business training grants, pre-hire grants, all of those grants you've all heard about. You've all been involved in approving some of those down the line. They are making a difference in Wyoming right now, but we've had to scale those monies back because of funding sources. So again, that's another thing that we want to really ramp that up. Along with asking for some general fund dollars, though, we're not just relying on that. We've got a way, we think, in discussions with the Treasurer's Office, where we can use the current funding source we have, which comes from a state unemployment insurance trust fund that is now being invested in the most risk-free program that it can be placed in, and we get the investments off of that, and that's what funds these training fund programs. Talking to the Treasurer's Office, we think we found a way to put that into just a little bit riskier program. Our return on investment could, we think, potentially double if we were to do that. But it also is a liquid, it's a very liquid program. So if it should happen that we need that state trust fund, we can get that money back with very little penalties in doing that. So to explain that a little bit more, that state training or that state UI fund is not a fund where we pay benefits out of for UI. Those are two separate funds. The legislature many years ago set up this special state fund that they set aside that there's no money going into it now. So it's just sitting there. It's about $51 million and it's invested very conservatively. It just sits there, no money going into it, and we get the investment dollars off of that. If we get that out, put it into something a little bit more riskier, but also a better investment option, according to the Treasurer's Office, we could potentially double those funds, which is, I mean, that will be a game changer also for some of those training fund programs. And what we're hearing from those programs is they're doing exactly what we wanted them to do, especially with the internship programs. We are hearing from business, we're hearing from interns. They get into those businesses, they see the great jobs that are in Wyoming, they see the people that they'll be working with, they make those connections. There's a loyalty that develops both ways, and they want to stay in Wyoming. And that is huge when we're seeing such an exodus from the state. So we want to build up all of those programs as well. So those are some of our ideas, but I also want to let you know about all the grants we've been applying for. Some really wonderful opportunities to get more. And you know, we always tout in a lot of our documents, we've got 55 plus programs that we implement. It is now probably closer to 65 or more, just because of some of the COVID programs, but also some of the newer programs that we've set up, and some of the newer programs we've set up with some of these new dollars. You've heard us talk about the RESCA program. What that is it connects unemployment individuals with our workforce center reemployment individuals. There's a real, where there might not have been such a good connection before, connect, and it's employment, they're connected with the workforce center to get them started down that road for reemployment. It's almost immediate. There's a requirement that they show up at meetings. There are certain requirements that they do along the way. And the hope is, and it's been done in other states, and for a number of reasons, our state just was one of 2 states that never took part in that. We're taking part in it now. We're getting some data built up in it. That effort is going to get people back out into employment quicker now through that program. So that's one program. We've got the reentry grant. You've heard about that, where we're actively working with the Department of Corrections to work with that demographic that has been long forgotten. Nobody has even that group because we haven't needed to. That's a group of individuals that can really make a difference in our state and come out of there. If we can help them, they can come out of there not only with the education they need, but with an immediate connection with an employer, and they go back to work and the recidivism rates go way down. So that's another one. We also, our apprenticeship grant lead, that they are doing some fantastic things there. We got another apprenticeship grant from DOL for $641,000 to start more apprenticeships, and we're going to be applying for more as well after that. We've got, we've got a lot. Another one I just hot off the presses. We haven't even sent out a press release about it, but we're so proud of our vocational rehabilitation team. For the first time in, they think, at least 20 years that anybody can even remember, they applied for a competitive grant for vocational rehabilitation funds. For instance, we've got 4,000 to 5,000 kids in K through 12 that are on IEPs, individual education plans. Every one of those kids can take advantage of the services that we've got in vocational rehabilitation. And they are many, and they are excellent opportunities and services for them. We only have the ability right now and are only touching 800 of those individuals. That tells you what kind of opportunity that is in that area. It's tremendous. And we just got approval for what's called the DIF grant. It's the Disability Innovation Fund Pathways to Partnership Innovative Model Demonstration Project. And our program lead in that area, Nikki, you've met her. She is wonderful. She's got all kinds of ideas. They got $10 million to make some real difference in that area. So we are thinking we can do some great things there. We also have ARPA projects. We're getting ready to get up and running, and I think you've all heard of those in the past. They're starting down the road. We're starting to get them out there. You're going to be hearing more about them, particularly our targeted healthcare one, particularly the talent transition one that you all were the proposers on. So that one will be going out. We've got, oh gosh, an upskilling one. We've got, help me out here. We've got at least 2 more. And then we've got a new one where we're going to be working with the Wyoming Department of Education on this digital wallet. And this wallet will be something that individuals can put their resume, transcripts in, their credentials, their stackable credentials, their degrees, their, you know, I'm even thinking their letters of reference can go in there. And these will be documents, because, you know, you always lose those certificates, or you don't remember when you got it, or, you know, whatever the case might be. This is going to be a place for where individuals can keep all of that information. And then you apply for a job. What you'll do is send a link to that employer, and give that employer specifically what it is you want to provide that employer. You give them that link, they can get into it. They've got your credentials, they've got your expertise right there in that digital wallet. So it's going to be really, really pretty neat, and not a lot of other states are doing it. A few, but not a lot. So we're hoping we can get something up and running in that regard. Buildings. I wanted to talk about, I think it was, you just mentioned the buildings around and some of the ADA problems that we've had and getting certified for those buildings. There is a Riverton Building Commission. I think you all have know about it. There's some discussion about, we've got 2 buildings there because we couldn't put our vocational rehabilitation people in our workforce centers because the workforce center isn't ADA compliant. So they're talking about building a Riverton building or doing something there where we can maybe get everybody together, get them in an ADA compliant facility, but that's an ongoing discussion. But it's definitely something that's moving forward, I think. So I also want to mention this is Workforce Development Month. If you don't know that already, this comms team that here, this is part of the team, are doing some amazing things in that area to really get the word out about workforce development efforts around the state, what the council is doing, what we're doing in our agency. So be looking for some of those. And if you get them on your Facebook, if you get them in your social media, please share them and get that word out. Some things going on. Last but not least, the board software. We just got a call from our Enterprise Technology Services ETS system for the state. They would like feedback on what you all think of Onboard because they're looking for an enterprise solution for all of the boards and commissions across the state. If that happens, it could be a real money saver for not only us, but every other entity that needs something like this. So if you like it, you don't like it, there are glitches in it you don't like, let us know, because I want to pass that along to the interim director over there as they're looking at some of these ideas. And that's a lot, but thank you. I'm here to answer questions. I do have to take off tonight. I'm speaking at the Blockchain Stampede at UW tomorrow on some of these efforts, but we also have Ivy Moore, our apprenticeship lead, over there talking to some of the students about, we've got a cybersecurity apprenticeship offering that we've got that was set up with Array. We've got all kinds of training fund dollars for some of these IT folks over there. So she's over there talking about some of those opportunities today. And I'm happy to answer questions, maybe not now, but catch me on a break. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much for those updates, Director Cooley. So as you can see, lots is going on in Wyoming. Again, we're going to hear from a lot of really great individuals. We got that pre-veteran grant that or the pre-veteran program that we're talking about. We are going to be talking about Lift Wyoming as well tomorrow. The $10 million grant is a fantastic news, so I'm just congratulations team on working really hard on that competitive grant and getting that in. The digital wallet program is really exciting. Board software is also, again, incredibly exciting. So just like the director said, please give us your feedback. It was actually funny at the National Governors Association. The last question from one of the participants was like, so when are we going to get all of our meeting materials? Like, oh, it'll be a few days. And I was like, if you had Onboard, you already have them. so even the NGA might consider going to a more robust and more modern platform. Again, exciting projects happening around all corners of the state of Wyoming. And so because we are the least populated state, we should be the most agile. Right. So that's the beautiful thing about Wyoming. We can all come together and solve problems very, very quickly, better than any other state in the country. So that's what makes me really excited to be here. And then, the crypto and cybersecurity stuff, it is booming. There's lots of conversation happening around this whole topic. So, and Wyoming honestly is leading the nation in many of those conversations. So it's very cool. Wyoming is definitely entering into a new phase. I kind of like the Phoenix phase, finding our roots, but staying to our roots, but becoming something really, really cool. So what we're going to do is we've got some online presenters and we're still having a few minor IT issues. So we're just going to take a 5-minute break. So get up, stretch, get some water, get some coffee. I don't know. What are the snacks? Are they like M&Ms, crackers? What do we have? Stuff from Jennifer's house is over there for you to eat or drink. So let's reconvene, everyone, please, at 1:50.
Okay.
Christy, can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you, Tyler.
Thank you. Can you keep talking, Christy?
Sure, can you hear me? Testing 1, 2, 3, testing 1, 2, 3. Can you hear me on this end? Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing.
I can hear you in Zoom land.
Oh, good. I'm working with staff to make sure they have it all. Oh, they are making some corrections while everybody is on break, so don't mind us in the background.
Thanks, Christy. I think we're still breaking up a little bit. I'm not sure what to do, but thank you for your help.
No problem. Let me know if you need anything else. Happy to help on my end.
No, it's nice.
Oh. All right, we're going to reconvene. We're still having some IT issues. So plan B is our friends online. You might just need to call me personally and I will put you on speaker and hold you up to my microphone. Oh. Okay.
Dante thinks someone is talking. Is that the problem? Dante thinks that thing is talking. That is what.
Yes, next up is going to be our WIOA performance report for fiscal year of 2022, presented by Jeanette Pickenbaugh. So I don't know, Jeanette, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you
Okay,
hear
cool.
me?
You're coming better. Yeah, it looks like there's an internet slowness issue on our side here in the building.
Okay.
Okay. Oh yeah, we can hear you pretty well. All right, let's give it a shot. We have a plan B in the event that it breaks up. Yeah.
Okay. And
Okay.
am I showing the presentation on my end or is somebody there presenting? working with the presentation.
Yeah, we're sharing it on your end. So you just want to let us know when you want to move to the next slide.
Okay. Thank you.
Cool. All right. So next up, we are going to be talking about our WIOA performance report for fiscal year of 2022, presented by Jeanette Peckinpah. So Jeanette, take it away.
Thank you, and good afternoon, everyone. I am excited to give this presentation for the WIOA performance. We are in a really good place right now with performance, and it's really exciting to share when it looks like this. So next slide, please. All right, so we have performance for 4 different programs with WIOA. The youth, which offers comprehensive employment programs for eligible youth ages 14 to 24, and they face education, training, and employment barriers. We have the adults that we give job search assistance and training opportunities for eligible individuals. Dislocated worker, which is job search assistance and training opportunities for individuals that have lost their jobs, been dislocated from a layoff or transitions in economic sectors or different things like that. And then lastly, we have Wagner Pizer, which is our general labor exchange, posting jobs and trying to help individuals find jobs. Next slide, please. So WIOA has 6 performance indicators. The top 3, I like to say, are did the individual get a job? Did they keep the job? And how much are they making? So the employment rate second quarter after exit is out of all the people that were in our program, how many are employed? Did they get a job? The employment rate fourth quarter after exit is of those employed in the second quarter, how many are still employed in the fourth quarter? It does not have to be with the same employer, but they still need to be working. And then the median earnings in the second quarter is how much are they making after we work with them and help them get a job and training, how much are they making? Now, the last 3 performance indicators are things that we look at in order to get have successful programs and to make sure that we are actually serving our participants, both employers and our individuals that are job seekers. So credential attainment rate is of the individuals that are in a training program that has a credential, what is the rate of credential attainment? How many of them complete the program and get the credential? Measurable skills gain, that is the only performance indicator that we do while the individual is still active in the program, and that measures skill gains along the way. So of the individuals that are in a training program, are they actually achieving skill gains in those training programs? And then the last one is effectiveness in serving employers. This is relatively new. We're still in a trial period for this, but it's how effectively are we serving employers? What are we doing with our employers and how is it working? Next slide, please. So the performance measures are negotiated between Wyoming and USDOL. That is a loose term when I say negotiated. They have a statistical adjustment model that they put all of our data in from prior years and then come to us with that outcome. It looks at prior years, it looks at the economy, it has some other specific pieces that it looks at, and then they come to us. And then we also have worked our way through the SAM and have some ideas of what we would like our numbers to be. Hopefully what they present is what we think we can achieve, but if not, then we work at sort of negotiating something along the ways of, maybe something in the middle, maybe we just end up agreeing with them, or maybe they agree with us. attaining 90% or better of the performance goal is passing. So, they have us, there's 100%, but we only have to attain 90% to be passing. Next slide, please. Thank you. What does exit mean? So this is relevant because most of our performance indicators are after exit. We just have the one that happens while they're still in the program. So exit equals 90 days after have elapsed since an individual received a service from us. So they're in the program, they've completed it, they have a job, and we've contacted them, asked them if they needed anything else from us, and they've said no and haven't contacted us for 90 days or haven't needed our services for 90 days, so then they exit. The official exit date becomes the date of that last service. So whatever their last service date was, whether it was occupational counseling or the last day of their training or any of those things, that is their last date of service, and so that's their exit date. This is important because in looking at wages 2 quarters after exit, we really, of course, want them to be employed at that time. So we really want to work with these individuals and ensure that they're employed before they exit. Next slide, please. Okay, so we talked about all of this already. Basically, they're all measured after exit except for the measurable skills gain. And that's recorded and reported while they're actively a participant. And it, again, is to see if they're increasing their skill levels along the way during participation. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is how is performance measured, and we won't spend a lot of time on this, but it does give you a little bit of an idea of what happens with an individual in their performance. You can see in August 1st, Anne became a participant, and then she began her training on August 15th of 2020, and completes her training on September 15th of 20, was probably a CDL license to complete it in a month. So her last service date is September 15th. Then 90 days later, on December 15th, we have our period when she's going to exit, but it goes back to September 15th for the exit date. Then the second quarter after exit is January through March 21, and the fourth quarter is July through September of 21. In that 1 month that she's in training, we also have to record at least one measurable skills gain. And Anne did receive a credential.
Jeanette, you're coming in and out again.
Okay, what can I do about that?
Mr. Chairman, if it's really on our side, if everyone in the room would open up the bandwidth, we might get better reception on the overall.
So we all want to just kind of turn off our internet for a little bit. The Wi-Fi connections is what you're recommending, Mr. Round?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. If there's less people using it, then it should open up a little bit more of the total capacity of the line.
Yeah. Okay, let's can turn off some Wi-Fi and see if we can get some better bandwidth. Jump onto your Verizon, your hotspots. I will do the same. Yeah, just I'm switching my computer over to my phone's hotspot is what I'm doing. Sorry, Jeanette. I was having rural Wyoming broadband internet issues.
All right, I completely understand.
Jeanette, can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me? Testing, can you hear me?
So it sounds like you can hear all of us, but we can't hear you.
This is Katie, and the connection on Zoom from afar is fantastic.
Yeah, we can hear, this is Sandy. We can hear really well in Zoom land.
Okay, we're gonna get you called in, Jeanette.
Okay, thank you.
Cool. Jennifer's getting you dialed in. Good news is we are ahead of schedule, so. So it gets warm in the room. I guess 2 of the AC units are out, so I apologize. Well, how fancy are we? So we're gonna go ahead and reconvene. Oh yeah, I've got user busy as well. Hey, come here, Val.
Okay. Right. I sent you the Zoom link. Can you just tell me what your catalyst number is? Put it to you, Jim.
Okay.
You just need a cell number?
No, so any user who's not a panelist will be muted because I just did that. And so I need a panelist number to put in. On your email? Yeah, you won't, because you're all here, so I didn't send you. one. The new people got one.
What about the one you sent me yesterday or 2 days ago?
But
That's pretty.
I sent you today's like seconds ago. Who else can I send you?
Jeanette, will you just call me, please? Are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you just give me your phone number?
Oh my gosh, now you're working again.
Oh, well, do we want to try to go on?
Yeah.
Let's try to go on. Yes, please.
Okay, I'll make it quick.
Okay.
We're gonna pass on this slide and go to the next one. You've all looked at it for a while anyway, so you get it. All right, so this is, this is our performance for July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2023 for adults. And you can see on the bottom that they are all green, which means they're all above 90%. And you can see even on the median earnings, that's at 158.6% of our goal. So that's exciting. The way that this works is the very top number is the numerator, and that tells you how many individuals actually achieved that performance goal. The next number is the denominator, and that's the number of individuals that were included in the count. And then the next is the PY22 actual rate, so what we actually attained. And then the bottom is the PY22 negotiated rate. So this is what we set up with Department of Labor saying that we could achieve. So you can see on the employment rate, did they get a job? We're at 96.1%. Did they keep a job? We're at 111.4% of our goal. The earnings are at 158.6%. That's really good, but it's also really sad because we're going to have a really high goal next time. It's really fantastic though. And then our credential rate is 109.6%, and our measurable skills gains is 99.6%. Any questions on those?
No, I think those look great. Great job. Very, very strong numbers here.
All right, let's go to the next slide. So this is our dislocated worker slide, and you can see that it has the same results. They're almost all above even 100%. 105.6 on our, are they employed? 105.9%, did they keep their job? 146.7% on did they, or what their wages are. And then credential rate is 104.4 and measurable skills gain is 98.7. Next slide, please. Again, our youth, everyone's looking really good. I said at the beginning, this was a really good year to report on, and it is. So did they get a job? 109.4% of goal. Did they keep it? 112.8% of goal. Were their earnings good? 100.4% of goal. Did they get a credential? 97.2%. And did they get a measurable skills gain? And that's 94%. And again, you have all the minutia above there, you can see how many fell in the numerator, how many on the denominator.
We're unfortunately
What?
losing you again,
Okay,
Jeanette. I think we're calling Jeanette in.
No, we're calling Zoom.
We're calling Zoom. Okay. Dang it, we were on a roll.
we are so close to being done.
Okay, looks like we got the Zoom folks can still hear, so maybe we all join Zoom, but that would make the problem worse.
I joined if you want me to put my phone to the speaker.
Can we see the next slide? Can you hear me?
Yeah, Jeanette, we had to really kind of hold you. Just talk.
Hey, Jeanette, go ahead and talk.
I'm sorry, you're echoing so bad. I can't understand you.
Go ahead and talk.
Okay. I'm not going to spend any time on this. These are numbers from 2021 because 2022 is not complete yet. Theirs aren't due until October 1st. So next slide. This is just what happens if our goals aren't met, and there can be sanctions to the council for your money. It can be reduced by 5 percentage points. The way that you don't meet your goals is if you have entire categories that are not met across the board. So let's take that second quarter after exit. If every one of those did not meet, then you could get sanctioned. The other way is if one type of program, so say the entire adult program did not meet any of their performance goals, you could be sanctioned. You can see that we're not in any trouble with that at all. Next slide. So this is what I just explained. Sorry, I didn't realize that I had typed this up. Next slide. So the first action from Department of Labor after we don't meet our goals is they will give us technical assistance for 1 program year, and failure for a second consecutive year is 5% shortage on the funds. And really, that's all I have today. Is there any questions? Can you hear me? Is there any questions? All right, I'm done. You can contact me if you have any questions.
Thank you, Jeanette.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. We could hear you really well on Zoom.
Jeanette, this is Jim. We can hear you. We're just not able, I don't think there's any questions on our end. We'll get with you if there are some questions.
Yes, thank you. Appreciate the presentation. Heard everything.
Awesome. I wish we could say the same thing here. Okay, well, thank you, Jeanette, for the WIOA Performance Report PY22. So next up, we're going to have Title I Program Team and One-Stop Operations Update presented by Christina Arizona, which are we also doing a remote? All right, well, everyone cross their fingers and toes, please. Oh, yay, you're here. Fabulous.
Afternoon, Chairman and committee members. My name is Christina Arizona. The Deputy Administrator, Christina West, is out of the office, so I'll be stepping in today and giving a presentation of our update. Go ahead and go to the next slide, please. So we have 18 workforce centers located around the state. All of the black dots represent them. The counties that do not have, we provide outreach, and the pandemic really helped us launch into the new times, and we provide a lot of Zoom links to help our rural community where individuals are not having to come into the office to receive services. Next slide, please. We have 115 staff members, and this includes some program managers, center managers, workforce center staff, and office support specialists. Go ahead and go to the next slide. Now, along with all of the other employers around the nation, we have also faced the challenges with vacancies. We've really tried to hone in and to do some different things. And right now we have 12, and we just filled 5 of those. Next slide, please. Now we really leaned into what can we do different? How can we stop the loss of employers? So we really leaned into retention. And I really feel that the performance measures that Jeanette just went over and all of these things that I'm going to go over really are hand in hand. So one thing that we've really done is we leaned in and really tried to change the culture. And one of that is just really have a camaraderie, really creating a statewide approach instead of everybody in their own communities doing their own things. Another thing, we really tried to, we implemented an employee of the month. So it allows employees to submit their peers and we get some recognition. We lean into some fun team building activities. We really work hard at improving communication, ensuring that we aren't having meetings just for meetings, but meetings that are meaningful and what the staff need. The other things that I really believe in it, the training that we have received, we've sent leaders to Dare to Lead, so they are able to have those crucial conversations with staff for improvements. We've also, with the generosity of the council, was able to send them to case management training, business rep training. So we have a trained staff, and whenever you offer a great onboarding package, you're going to have a longer sustainable staff. So we hope that we can continue that in the future. Go ahead and go to the next slide. And real quick, with talking about training, I think one thing that has also helped us with the success is we have really looked at it and invested in some technology that lets us create our own onboarding staff, also providing opportunities for them to attend a training from the experts. This is the employee of the month. Go ahead and change. We have done this for 1 year. That was a huge success. These are the other programs that we have in the workforce centers. As you can see, it's a long list. If anybody is interested anymore, we'd always be welcome to share more of these programs. Next slide. This is our walk-in and resource room. This is also something that the council's funds have been able to help us assist with. One thing that we've done is we've implemented tablets in all the workforce centers to ensure that we are keeping PII private, as well as using these to look back at and look for trends to see, okay, who do we have as repeat customers? How can we serve them? What do we need to adjust our needs to? Go ahead and go to the next. And this is our WIOA umbrella. And I also believe that us really looking at this model, really diving in and seeing what we are doing well as workforce centers and who we need to partner better with has also led to those performance measures. So these are our mandatory partners, VR, Adult Ed, and really Wagner Peyser. And you saw our youth numbers, those were really up, and that is because of that partnership that we really have leaned in with Adult Ed and have created. Go ahead and go next. So Wagner Peyser, Title III. right? There's so many. So this is really where we are helping the job seekers. They're coming in, we provide them resume assistance, and I need to quit saying come in. We did have 50 in customers, but we also serve people virtually. So however, the means that we do provide them the service, we really work with that job seeker, help them find their goal, them career assessment, help them linked to the labor force. Go ahead and go to the next slide, please. And this right here talks about our employer services. This is one area that we are continuing to grow in, and we have plans for the future. We really try to support the employers with finding qualified job seekers to ensure that they have their success of their program. We can offer things like typing test, going through the candidate list, individuals, job postings, really any support that a business would need, they can come to the Workforce Center. If we are not that resource, we point them to the Business Council, to our local chambers, to labor standards, where that point that really guides traffic of where they can receive the services they need. Next slide, please. And here's our Wagner Pizer. We host job fairs throughout the state. We have really been leaning in and doing how we can expand that. But each local office, they at different areas where employers can come and get connected for in person and soon to be virtually with job seekers. Next slide. And right here, so you can see our numbers have increased. So PY 22, for example, we had 440 youth. Right now, with the year just starting July 1st, we have 274. You can see our numbers are growth that we've been able to provide. So I'm excited. I think we'll have even higher numbers. Next slide, please. We have the National Dislocated Worker Quest Grant. This was a grant that we applied for to assist anybody who lost their employment due to the pandemic and is really partnering with the Next Gen partnerships. Our goal is to have 20 individuals. I believe I might need to do a little more research on that. I believe it's 25 individuals for this program. And this is just to help us complement and stretch those funding dollars that we have with WIOA further. So we're really looking to see how we can diversify our funds. Next slide. Just co-enrollments. We were recognized nationally for this partnership. And we see this to continue to longevity and the relationship grows more. Next, please.
I feel like you have Jeopardy music going on. I can probably make that happen.
No, I am excited.
It's glitching on Zoom land too. I don't know if others can hear, but we have no volume.
They're having some internet instability on their end, but thank you for the feedback. Yeah, there's silence on
I'm
our
just
end.
gonna pull up my presentation here and we can just kind of talk it through while and in your packet, you'll see some WIOA. This is an example of somebody out of Evanston, really how she earned her HiSET. She has many ready to work certificates, and now she was hired at the Chamber of Commerce.
While they're doing that, we had a VR while they're getting that ready, we had a VR individual worked with this individual for a while, and that person is now employed by NASCAR. So kind of a cool story for somebody. Yeah.
Now, WIOA outreach, this is something that is one of our goals to get even better at. It's 2023 and we are changing our mindset that the customers are going to walk into our meet them in the end of places that they are and provide outreach to our employers through co-enrollments and other programs is also how we provide that outreach. We have individuals that sit in the adult ed campus in their classroom for a class to meet. Go ahead and go next. The TANF programs that we have at the Workforce Center is the WIN. We have 17 participants in this program. This program is completely voluntary, but is for individuals who are currently working with child support to get those. We have the POWER program. The POWER program is a TANF program through DFS. It is a compliance program. The individuals have to meet with us and work employment goals so they can make
It's breaking up quite a bit here on Zoom.
update. We started group orientations in July 2023. The Workforce Center in Cheyenne, they have a large power case number compared to the other areas. Really looking to see how can we be innovative? How can we simplify things so we can ensure that we give the best individualized services. So one thing that they have done is creating a group orientation to help with staffing time as well as help those clients make some connections. This year we served 237 participants and our outcomes for POWER continue to exceed our expectations. 70% of those places that closed in July were due to wages. Go ahead and go next. We just rolled out the Career Compass program, and this program is another one that we're really excited about. It's really a partnership between DWS, Employment and Training, and Department of Corrections. So far, we have 100 participants that are enrolled. Our goal is 400. We just just started enrolling, I want to say in May. The nice thing about this program is DOC will provide the inmates some work readiness skills when they are incarcerated, so they can start getting micro credentials. And then as they are transitioning back into their communities, they start really working more hands-on with the ENT staff, and they provide them case management to ensure that stability and addressing some barriers, providing them some work experience to help with reincarnation limitations. Let's see. We have 3 out of 4 position hires. Another exciting thing about this program is currently, before this program, there was not Wi-Fi in any of our prisons. And through this grant, DOC is starting to install Wi-Fi through all of those prisons. Go ahead and go next, please. The RESA program, that's another grant that we're excited about. And as you guys can see, we really are trying to diversify our funds. The RESA we just rolled out last quarter. We had 48 participants. 16 of these have returned to gainful employment. RESA program is, Re-employment Services. I cannot remember what the acronym stands for. But basically it is for unemployment individuals who are most likely to exhaust their benefits. So the 4 components of that grant is to return back to work, identify any possible fraud through the unemployment to ensure that they are doing their means, and just really to give those referrals to WIOA. So we're excited about this. This is how we are doing that outreach differently, because this really will feed our dislocated worker program in the future. Go ahead and go next. We did have a DOL technical assistant 3 weeks ago, and we got some really good feedback from Department of Labor and some ideas of how to continue to move forward. One thing we also did, and this is with launching a new program, we were able to put some training funds in the grant as we wrote it. So with that, we were able to host an RESEA conference. I think there were 45 individuals that have came into that. We really focused on providing them things like resume building, had a lot of guest speaker and that training to ensure that the individuals are feeling confident with providing those services and keeping their employment with ENT. Go ahead and go next. And as we're waiting for that to load, let me speak on some upcoming services and things that you're going to see with ENT. We currently are working on the ARPA programs. We have one, Upskilling Wyoming, which the workforce centers will be responsible solely for. What the goal of Upskilling Wyoming is those who are not eligible for WIOA would be eligible for the Upskilling Wyoming if they're 300% of the poverty level. So really trying to identify that next group of individuals that we're meeting, we would be able to provide them training, those supports, same services that we do in WIOA. We are really looking at our resource computers and giving them a facelift, really trying to make icons, make it very easy to maneuver with those resources. And then our last is the MIS system. We are leaving Wyoming at Work, and we're working with Career Edge to launch a new MIS system that we truly believe is going to be a better service to the citizens of Wyoming, from our job seekers to our employers, as well as the staff at DWS. We were really able to look at our current system, our current workflow processes, and see how can we simplify, how can we make things flow. So we're excited about that. We were able to get some things that would require us to do manual enter to be able to do manually. Now, Mr. Chairman, and committee members, do you guys have any questions for me or anything else I can elaborate on?
Yes, any discussion, council? I mean, I've got a few takeaways. So I saw Brene Brown on your slide. I love Brene Brown. Great resource there. So as you know, I'm really very excited to hear about the culture retraining. And as we all know, your people are your most important resource in your soul. So taking care of those. And then also, as well as you kind of mentioned childcare, which actually just kind of reminded me what a huge topic that was in North Dakota. And if you actually do a Google search, so one of the things that North Dakota became kind of, in a way, famous for recently was the passage of a $66 million package through their legislature to address childcare costs and availability. Again, going back to helping, working parents being able to get back into the workforce. So basically what this bill does is it provides an incentives for childcare centers around the state of North Dakota to take on more infants and more children, as well as for a certain median of income that the state will actually help you pay for your childcare. So another very interesting topic. So I'm glad you kind of touched on a few things that were also a big national conversation, and very excited about the new MIS system as well. So yes. Oh, do we have a question on Representative Berger? You have a question? So yeah, any discussion for council, Ryan? Mr. Representative Berger.
Yeah, thank you. More of a comment, just thanks to in Southwest Wyoming and the workforce services. Thanks for all the success stories. We hear it in Southwest Wyoming, and I hear these success stories across the state as well. And I just want to thank you for all you guys do and all the employees do for your local communities and the great state of Wyoming. I know when budgets are tight, it gets really hard, and we just continue to work as a small community in a great big land area in this great state. So appreciate all you're doing, and keep up the great work, you guys.
Thank you, Representative Berger. Any other council discussion? Yes.
Christina, thanks for the all that information. I have a couple of quick questions. Also a fan of the Brene Brown training, and I'm curious if there's been any feedback on that from the staff members who have attended that you're able to share.
Yes, Holly, our administrator, Holly Samami and Christina West, I'll also share that with them because they have more. We did do a survey out to our staff, and it has been very beneficial, and that has really helped. That retention, like I said, does a crucial conversation. We are really looking to see what the staff would like to do. It was only with supervisors, and the feedback that we have really seen is we need to keep it going. Other staff in different ways, and really looking to see that now. I mean, those supervisors that we have trained start working with their staff, but the feedback has been great, and I do believe that's really where that culture shift is playing key.
Thank you. Curious also, you mentioned there were 12 vacancies across the combined workforce centers. Did I have that right?
Correct.
Are you able to share what percentage of the total workforce staff that represents? Or do you know?
Let's see who's good at math. So we have 115.
So a little under 10%. Okay. Thank you.
I got a question. What's the starting salary on?
Oh yeah, microphone.
I was just curious what with the retention problems, what was the starting salary on any of these jobs?
Yes, great question. Thank you. I think that's one thing that's going to help us in the future since we did get that increase. Director Cooley, please speak up if I misspeak. But our wages were about 18, I would say an average of about 18 an hour. And now I believe that we're up to 22 an hour or 24. Let me ask Eaton. She's a workforce centers manager. What is the current wage?
Currently starting average.
So that current wage is now 22 an hour.
All right, any other further council discussion?
Just a comment, if you don't mind,
Yes.
Mr. Chairman. Down in Southwest Wyoming, the West Wyoming Community College has been going out and Dr. Dale is conducting community listening sessions. And I just wanted to point out that the representatives from the workforce service centers have been showing up and participating in those. So it is something to note, you know, that local people are going out and participating in the community meetings that are going on. So.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Wild. Appreciate that. Yay. Great stuff. All right. Last call for any questions around our Title I. All right. You're very welcome. All right. Next up, we are going to have our regional team workforce center update presented by Sheridan and Gillette Workforce Center. So please come on down. Well, hello. Tell us about all the things, please.
Well, good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and committee members. My name is Christina Eaton. I am the Sheridan Workforce Center Manager. I have had the privilege to work with wonderful Workforce Center staff throughout the state and specifically in Sheridan. My team is amazing, and I would like for them to share some success stories with you. First, I would like to talk about our Sheridan Scope program. It started over 12 years ago and is continually assisting more and more youth each year. We just started our fall semester in the Sheridan for Scope, and our youth case managers are can't find more caring case managers anywhere. We also are doing, we are also providing outreach to communities where we do not hold a workforce center. Our center is in Sheridan, but we are still responsible for serving Buffalo and Renchester. So we do office hours every other week here in Buffalo at the Bomber Mountain Center, and we do weekly hours out in Renchester. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Pam.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and committee members.
Oh yeah, I think you have a little bit. There you go.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and committee members. As Christina said, my name is Pam Rion, and today I would relay you the story about the Sheridan Annual Job Fair. So about 9 years ago, an ex coworker and I decided that Sheridan could really benefit from a job fair, the employers and participants alike. So we reached out to the VA hospital and partnered with them. And so for our first few fairs, we just had it in their little hall at the VA, and we quickly outgrew that. So then we decided to reach out to Sheridan College to also partner with us. And with that partnership, our first few fairs were just in the atrium at the Sheridan College, and we quickly outgrew that. So the last few years, we have had our job fair at the Sheridan College Golden Dome. This year was one of our biggest years ever. And with the culture the way it is, it was so exciting to see the employers and the attendees come out. We had over 60 employers and over 300 attendees attend the job fair. It was just wonderful to see the employers networking, to see all the on-the-spot job interviews that were being held. The Sheridan Press wrote a great article about it, how big of a success it was. And it was just wonderful, especially being able to be one of the original committee members to see where it started to what it has grown into today. So another quick thing I would like to share with you guys is a success story and appreciation story written by an employer. This was written by Melissa Butcher and Janie McLaughlin, who own the Anonymous Coffee House and Bakery, and wanted to submit a story regarding the workforce development training funds. We were fortunate to be recipients of the workforce development training funds through Workforce Services. Receiving these funds helped us increase our product line, increase salaries, and open up 2 new positions. Through the process, it was very easy to utilize Pam Riondo, the local business representative, all her knowledge, and increase our training around the bakery. The training grant funds were very flexible. They allowed the chef to come to our bakery for the training, which in turn and be able to train other staff just besides ourselves. The process was seamless and timely, thanks to the assistance of the Workforce Development Training Fund and staff in Cheyenne and our local business representative. So that was submitted by a local employer in Manchester.
That's great. Love it.
Mr. Chairman? I have
Yes.
just a quick question for Pam.
Yes.
So congratulations on your job fair growth. That's amazing.
Yes, thank you.
So what time of year do you usually have those, or do you, and how often? Because I was just trying to think if I could go back.
And just a little bit hard when you have partners, you all have to be able to be available. But April seems to and all the happenings and when hiring is really at peak. You're welcome.
Great. Any other council discussion or questions? Yeah, I was just going to echo what, Mayor Hall just kind of mentioned, which is, great stories. That's one of the favorite things about being on this council is hearing exactly how we're impacting our participants every single Wyoming. And, one of the other things I took away from the NGA is honestly, the workforce grants that we've created here in Wyoming, our apprenticeships, internships, our prior grants, they are unique. And support our people of Wyoming. This is not normal, folks. Like Wyoming's a very unique state in that sense. So we should be very proud that we support these programs. And, I love how all of you work together to provide those opportunities and keep it going. So congratulations. Really excited to hear about your updates.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Mayor Hall, I was just, I wrote a note here and I will have them get a hold of you. A lot of times they do job fairs just for specific employers that are coming in that are just starting out. So they've done that in Cheyenne a couple of times, but this is really successful because I know in Cheyenne, they had a job fair that they joined up with Colorado and did it at LCCC. And it was huge. And I think they talked about getting maybe 100 people there. So this is really remarkable. So congratulations on that. But we'll make some contacts for you and get that going for you there. I think that's a great idea.
Thanks, Treasurer.
Yeah,
Those great success stories like that's why I've been on this council for 22 years, because it's you see things happen and sometimes they happen slow, sometimes they happen very successful. But there's a lot of employers that now are starting to take a look at the Department of Workforce Services and the programs that we have available, whether it be grants or the job fairs, and they rely upon it. So thanks again from Gillette and Campbell County and my 22 years of being on this council. God, I'm not that old though.
Here.
I was on when I was 13.
Yeah, so keep up the great work, very good stuff. And again, we love hearing those stories. So any way that, actually, maybe really quick, what's one thing the council is briefly, so a little over, ahead of schedule, one thing the council can do to best support your area? With 1 minute, who wants to start?
Well, I don't know if I'm over speaking, but I can just throw out something that has been in discussion, and I might go ahead. Okay, Director. So for these job fairs,
swag is somewhat important. It brings people to our table. Of course, we want to represent well also. And that has been a big discussion on, it's been very hard for the workforce centers to obtain. I don't know if there's a way, that would be over speaking, but that would be very much appreciated.
Awesome. Thank you. Swag. Yeah, so kind of like t-shirts, you're talking about, cozy,
Water bottle,
pens, yeah.
Anything,
Yeah,
that
because
we could.
Awesome,
take
great.
to
That's really great
represent.
feedback. What about, go for it. What's the number one thing you think the council can do to help best support you?
I feel that along the same lines as Pam was saying, when we are out within our community, it would be better, we would be better able to draw people to our services and stuff if we had nice tablecloths or something that show our logo we do go within the community quite a bit. As Christina Arizona said, we are trying to make our outreach a priority through all workforce centers, and anything that would draw more attention to the services that we're able to provide would be greatly appreciated.
Cool. Well, yeah. I didn't catch your name. Who are you?
I'm Maggie Randall.
Hi, Maggie.
I am an adult case manager and also the receiver for the Sheridan Workforce Center. And I would absolutely just piggyback on that. I think anything that can point people in the right direction for who they need to talk to when they're looking for a job is helpful.
So it's like more marketing, branding, swag. So obviously we do have that subcommittee that really focuses on that. So we'll be talking about that probably more tomorrow, but thanks for sharing. That's a question that as a council, we're always asking each other, like, what do you need? How can we help you? How do we see, you do such great things every day. How do we best support you and recognize you and your teams for your efforts? So it's just a question I always like to ask every single time. So thank you very much for your time and great job. Again, we're very happy that you're here and to provide those updates. So unless there's any other further council discussion. Yes, Director Cooley?
Just to piggyback on this has been an ongoing concern that we've heard from the workforce centers because it is so critical. The difficulty is with our federal funds, that's something we can't really spend money on. But I want to just throw out there, that would be an excellent opportunity for the foundation.
I was going to think the same thing. I was like, well, don't we have this little thing called the foundation? Oh, good. Great minds think alike, right? Yeah. Well, great. Despite all of our technical and AV issues that we've had throughout the day, we are still ahead of the schedule. So what we're going to do is we're going to just have a quick 10-minute break. So kind of just get up, stretch, get water, snacks, go to the bathroom. And then when we come back, so right now it is 2:55. So at 3:05, we're going to come back and we're going to hear from Amanda on the regional VR update. So 10-minute break, get up and stretch, and I will see you all back here in 10 minutes.
Mr. Chairman, this is Nikki.
9:57.
Mr. Chairman.
Christy, if you're there, can you talk to me for a second, please?
participant story that we're going to share from the Sheridan area. So, okay, cool. So I do apologize about jumping over you, but Gillette, I know you're on the Zoom. We're hopefully going to be able to hear you. Yes, Amanda, are you there?
I am here.
Hi, Amanda.
Hello.
Hello.
Are you
You
ready?
may give.
Oh.
Yes, we are ready.
Okay, well, thank you so much for this opportunity, Mr. Chairman and council members. I do have a slideshow that, just give me one sec. Cannot share screen while other, it says I cannot share the screen while another participant is sharing.
We'll stop sharing on our end and we'll get with you.
Okay, perfect. But I gotta get into my, oh, where did it go? Sorry. Right there we go. Okay. You. Okay. Do you all see my screen?
Yes, we do.
Oh, awesome. So I just want to talk about a little bit about DVR. I'm going to just give you a little caution up front. We get kind of excited about the services that we're providing up here in Campbell County and starting to expand into Crook and Johnson County. So I just want to give a little apology up front because we get pretty excited. I also want to introduce Melissa Brower. She is one of our service providers up here that we work very closely to provide those services to our adults and youth in this area. So just a brief overview of DVR services. We are a federal and state program. Federally, we are housed under the Department of Education. At Wyoming state level, we are housed under the Department of Workforce Services. Our job is to assist people with disabilities to prepare them for obtaining, maintaining, and stabilizing employment. That is a broad view in itself because that can mean a bunch of different things. For DVR, we have 16 field offices and 20 satellite offices in Wyoming, with 29 amazing counselors to serve our communities. I do have on this slide a little bit of our adult process with the referral application, eligibility determination. We do put clients in a plan for employment. We implement services with the resulting goal of employment. We do keep cases open for 90 days after employment to ensure that the client has everything that they need. And we can also provide some post-employment services. Right here just goes over briefly the general rehab services versus transition services. General is, we do have a 60-day eligibility process. We do have to have proof of a disability, but clients get full access to any of the services that we have to offer them. We are required to put them in a plan for employment that lays out what our goal is and what services DVR is going to provide to get them to that goal. Our objective for general rehab services is long-term employment. We want clients to have a job that they are satisfied in and appreciate. Under general rehab services, we can service students from age 14 and up. However, under the transition services, that's for students that are school attached. School can be college or homeschooled as well. We do not have an eligibility program or eligibility criteria. It's not like an eligibility. They have to be on an IEP 504 to access DVR services. We can do services right away. We don't have that 60-day waiting period and obtaining records. We have 5 main services for pre-eds, and I'll get into those in here just a minute. Our objective for transition services are for exposure to different work skills, opportunities, that just a lot of our students don't have work history, don't have those skills. So we want to do a lot of exposure, not so much resulting in long-term employment, but for us, a lot of that, not long-term, but at least permanent employment, it does. Oh, it said I was muted. Am I on?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. That's all right. So general rehab has been around for over 100 years. However, in 2014, WIOA was written into law, and this was a huge game changer for transition services. And that's what we get really excited about. This did mean that there is a 15% set aside award from our funds are 15% is set aside just for transition services, which for me up here is pretty amazing, actually. So I'm going to focus on transition services. I do have up there pre-ETS, and that's pre-employment transition services. So we offer 5 basic services, and that's counseling on enrollment and opportunities. That could be in trade schools, or furthering that education. Work-based learning experiences. We provide paid and unpaid. Some of this is work exposure. Some of it is getting them into a work setting to gain those skills. Job exploration counseling, workplace readiness training, where we will have Ms. Brower kind of talk about what she does with the students, and instruction on self-advocacy. So what's happening up here in Campbell County? I shouldn't say just Gillette, because it's all Campbell County. We have a great collaboration with the school district, DVR services. That's where we get a lot of our referrals, is from the school district. We also refer to and get referrals from Wyoming Independent Living. We help collaboration with Social Security, disability, home and community services waiver, the children's mental health waiver, and prospective employers. Some of the services that we offer, and I'll say that we do that through most vendor services, is employment skills workshop. We do some after school workshops, weekends. We do some amazing summer camps that have been fabulous. We do work experience and exposure to various employment opportunities. We have an entrepreneurship program going on right now on Monday evenings. We have community-based volunteer opportunities, hands-on employment opportunities, opportunities to develop strong communication skills and employment. We're trying to teach students those soft skills that employers are begging us to help with. We also have the tours of colleges and vocational training to help students explore what is available to them. Some of the skills, just to touch on a little bit, because there's a lot that happen, but self-advocacy, communication, socialization, employability skills, soft and hard skills, problem solving, and business right now we have the business class for business marketing, selling, communicating, self-advocating. It kind of wraps up to everything. Not all students participate in all services. Some will do the entrepreneurship, and some of it's a step-up program. It just depends on the client's needs and wants. I'm going to introduce Ms. Brower. She's one of our vendors here in Gillette that we work closely with to provide a lot of services to our students. I have kind of a caseload that is a little high, so I can't do it all myself. Plus, she's got some great background in students with or I shouldn't say students, people with disabilities, and she is amazing.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity. So just a little background on our program that my husband and I created. It's Achievable Beyond Limited Expectations. This program was created with my child in mind. We have a 19-year-old that is currently a super senior at one of the high schools here. My entire career has been based on her. I went into special education. She is considered to have kind of high needs. And so I went into special education and have worked as a para and a vocational teacher and whatnot. She's getting ready to transition for life after high school. Here in Gillette, there isn't much options for her. So as a parent, it's very alarming and scary to see what that next chapter of her life is going to look like. So along with Amanda, I didn't really know a whole lot about DVR until she started coming into the schools, and we developed this really great working relationship and friendships out of here. And so I created this program where we target the foundational skills for employment. And so what that looks like is we do a lot of hands-on activities within the school district, bring in the school district to support those transition activities, and then just collaborate with the teachers, collaborate with the schools, and kind of get a foundational skill built for the kids. Within the ABLE program, we have the day programming for individuals on the home community-based service waiver. Again, that's for when my daughter decides, is ready to transition, she'll have a place to go. We have multiple businesses within that program. We have a industrial shredder for our more supported kiddos that need that repetition, so they can still come into the day program and they can still have those skills and they can still be a part of the group. We started our business program thanks to DVR, who funded all of the materials for this program. And so the kids come once a week, and they create t-shirts and tumblers with our logo. And then part of that big unit is that they have to do self-advocacy. So we're right now in the middle of a unit where they're learning about their own disability, learning about their own accommodations that they require. And then they make flyers and talk about how it affects them and the services that they need, and just kind of getting to know each other a little bit better and working together with others that have probably the same disability. So that has been a phenomenal program. Again, that was funded through DVR. Very, very grateful for that. I wouldn't be able to afford all that on my own. So that's part of that self-advocacy curriculum that we do. We do an employment training. We do foundational skills within our building where we do workshops, and we kind of work through a curriculum that we have created. And once they pass the curriculum, then we take them out into the community. I work right alongside them. I worked at A&W, I worked at Taco Bell. I mean, I take orders. I work at Smith's. I work all over town, right alongside them. And as they learn the skills and they feel comfortable, I start backing off a little bit, and then they're independent. Some of my kiddos have been employed for 2-3 years, maybe 2 years, and then some of them end up getting fired, and we have to go back and start all over again. But that's okay. That's just part of the plan and the process. So we've had a lot of success with that. Some kiddos do the job, and then they realize that they don't want to do the job. So then we just kind of, tie hands and move on to something completely different. We work very closely with the businesses within the town, and they have been extremely supportive of this new program. They are excited to give our kiddos an opportunity to come in and become productive members of society. I don't think I've ran into any business that haven't really said no to us. There's guidelines. I mean, our kiddos have to go through the interview process. They have to go through the application process. So we treat it as a actual job. Our hope is that within a month or so, with the proper training and the job coaching and whatnot, that the employer will see that they're beneficial for their company. So then they will end up employing them for that. We've had some great success. And then we've had some kiddos that do the workshops or do the job training, and then it's not a good fit. So then we move on to something completely different. I mean, it's truly based on their skills and their abilities. And so we try to keep that in mind when we're setting up these work experiences. So that's our employment program. We have the residential program. We just started that in July. And that's again, because I had 2 of my kiddos that I was their teacher for at one of the high schools that didn't have a place to go. So I kind of just took them in, and we have that going on. It's been phenomenal so far. We do a lot of social skills. So if you think about our kiddos that need that more support, my child would be one of those that probably isn't quite ready for the workforce, but just needs that social skills, those foundational skills still. We do a lot of workshops that's designed and, you know, geared towards teaching them like independent living skills, teaching them staying in one area, transitioning between activities, all those skills that they're going to need when they do find employment. And so we do a lot of those workshops with that population as well. Again, just getting those foundational skills built and created for them. We bring in a lot of the resources. So I assist with the Social Security income. I have families that come to me and say, how can I get my child on Social Security? So I help with that. I'm a case manager for the medical waiver, for the home and community-based waiver. Again, I became a case manager because there's families that are not familiar with the services that the DD waiver provides. And so I was going to IEP meetings with a student that's a senior. That family had no idea what the home and community-based service waiver, and there's a 3-year waiting list for this waiver. So it was really heart-wrenching to see that families weren't aware of all the resources that were available to us for our kiddos that have special needs. I'm also work with the children's mental health waiver. So I refer families over and I work really closely with getting those services. We help with Medicaid, we help with Social Security, we help with, I mean, just about anything. We
It's part of that collaboration
Yeah.
with the services that we have going on up here.
Yeah, we do a lot of like, you know, I'm going to show you guys some pictures of
So-
my kiddos because I'm very proud of them.
So part of some of the job search, you know, is filling out those applications, resumes, interviews, volunteer opportunities, mock interviews. Those are some of the things that we work with the students. These are 2 of our amazing students that, one still has employment and one we had some barriers that we're working on and we'll
Working on getting him another job.
Yep. Again, that's part of that learning process. And actually it was a great opportunity for other students. We have those social groups that the students participate and make those connections with others. Inclusion, we are including our students with disabilities in, you know,
just inclusion in general,
Yes.
just bringing our kiddos out there and letting the community know that we are here and that we're, you know, able to help. And it has been phenomenal. Just the support we have gotten from our community with our kiddos has been amazing. And our kids are excited to go out into the community and do everything everybody else does. So it's been awesome.
Yeah. Making friends and building confidence, that is something that just naturally occurs. Employment skills, these 2
Ladies, real quick, Ryan has his hand up. Ryan, was it something that you can ask later?
I want to ask,
Fire away.
if you don't mind, Amanda, can I just ask this quick question?
Of course.
What a great program, by the way. I'm a special ed teacher here in Evanston, do the same things. What you guys are doing, been doing this. But my question is, I just had a meeting with our VR folks, and we used to do paid work experiences, and those VR, he told us that the funding for the paid work experiences, they're cutting funding there. Are you guys cutting your funding for the paid work experiences?
So I don't want to call it cutting, but I do want to call it shifting. We have shifted up here. You know, we have a budget, and I think not only in Campbell County, but in the whole state of Wyoming. I know up here, my caseload quadrupled with clients. So we have the set amount of funds, and we need to make sure everybody's getting some services. I think each area can be a little bit different how they do their work paid experiences. Now I up here require like that foundation part. I have found that if we just throw kids into these work experiences and they don't have the foundation, it doesn't seem to result in any, you know, a lot of meat in that. So we start with that
foundation and then work into possibly some paid work experiences. We do keep those very short because we want students to explore and to be exposed to different ones. But those long-term ones we've kind of had to shift back quite a bit just because we have a lot more students to serve, which is fantastic.
Perfect. Thank you.
Did that answer your question?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. And then here's just another opportunity that the kids did at the National High School Rodeo up here. We do work on some independent living skills, meal planning, grocery shopping, applying, accessing community services, some independent living. This was some students got an apartment, so they were out comparing pricing and how to get some different things. Financial literacy, when you get your first paycheck, like how are we going to spend that and do that? And taxes, it's been awesome that students don't quite understand that taxes come out of there. So when they're expecting this paycheck and then it's a little less than what they expected, we get to have that great opportunity and talk about budgeting. This is the ABLE business that they're doing right now. You can see the students are very intrigued by learning. They're making their own things. And then we're doing some different events at Camplex and other areas to sell their merchandise and just to see how, if you were doing small business, how that you gotta make product to sell product that money doesn't go in their pocket, it goes back into the business. So that was DVR up here, what we got going on in a nutshell. I'm sorry I don't have a lot of time, but I could talk forever about what we have going up here. So I'm glad actually that they gave me a time limit because
we could talk forever.
We could go forever. So thank you so much for this opportunity. Is there any other questions that we can answer?
Thank you, Amanda. Yeah. Thank you, Amanda. Yeah.
Any other really quick council discussion? We are going to be running over time with this presentation. So otherwise, I wish they would take it off the line.
We are in Gillette. I'm from Gillette and I've seen you guys doing your great work. Good job. I know some of those students and your clients and you guys have done a very good job.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Amanda.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, guys.
Maggie, please.
Hi, guys. I'm Maggie Randall again. I am the WI adult and receive case manager for the Sheridan Workforce Center. And we recently had one of our participants in the adult program, I believe he was also a dislocated worker, go through the Sage Trucking School in Billings, Montana. And he was willing to write us a very glowing letter about his experience with the Sheridan Workforce Center. And so I just wanted to read that. He said, I was referred to the Workforce Center by Sage Trucking in Billings, Montana, after I contacted them about obtaining my CDL. Before I got to the Workforce Center, I had been working dead-end jobs for little to no money and was currently unemployed at the time. I decided it was time for a change. After I got into the Workforce Center, I found I was eligible to be enrolled and started to attend Sage Truck Driving School out of Billings. I had a decent experience. There's a lot more Sage Trucking could have done in my opinion, but it got me where I needed to be to obtain my CDL. My experience with the Workforce Center, however, was amazing. Very helpful and knowledgeable people. I would not start if it wasn't for them. Now I'm working for Go Food, making $27.50 an hour with full benefits, and my probationary period is over. Cisco has me traveling all over Wyoming at the moment as a delivery driver, although I am based out of Sheridan and still reside here. It's really a good career opportunity and it's exactly where we needed to be. Thank you for everything, Colton Smith.
Very cool. Yeah, great work. Did I skip over anyone else? Is there anyone else that I have missed? I just skip over people randomly.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, please.
So I just wanted to say that that we did have a participant on from Gillette. He unfortunately had to leave because he had to get ready for work. So I guess that's a good reason to need to leave, but hopefully we can convince him to come back and maybe speak at our Casper meeting. So that's what I've offered them. We'll see, but I did want to say that we did have some representatives from the Gillette Workforce Center, and it was going to be really incredible, but hopefully we can convince them to come back. Thanks.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you for the updates. All right. Well, to round it out, we have our next up on our agenda
Mr.
is
Chairman.
our 2023. Do you have any questions on there?
Mr. Chairman.
Representative Berger, have a question, hand raised?
Yep. Yeah. Real quick, just a final comment. Thanks to that last group for again including our workforce that are disabled and understanding that they are an important piece to Wyoming's future.
Agreed. Yep. Okay, I'm going to move on to Michael Moore and Tony Glover for our 2023 Wyoming Workforce Annual Report. And thank you all for coming and sharing your updates and participant stories. We love that. So, all right, and I believe Michael and Tony, you're going to be joining us via Zoom. Michael is okay.
I am here. Mr. Chairman, can you hear me?
Yes, we can as of now.
Great. Aaron, are you going to put my slideshow up, or did you want me to share my screen? Oh, perfect. That will work. Well, to get us started, good morning or good afternoon. My name is Michael Moore. I'm the research supervisor here for research and planning. Thank you again for giving me the time today to talk to you a little bit about our annual report. This report is really a great resource and something to go back to if you need to quickly find answers to labor market information questions that may arise. Next slide, please. Just a little bit about research and planning to get us started. I think most people here are pretty familiar with what we do. R&P is an exclusively statistical entity within DWS. We collect, analyze, and publish timely labor market information. We provide this information to the public, legislators, educators, training providers, the media, and more through our website, our monthly publication, Wyoming Labor Force Trends, and various other publications. Next slide, please. Just a little bit of background on the report. The annual report is published each June in partnership with the Wyoming Workforce Development Council. This is a very comprehensive report using data from several programs to provide as complete a picture as possible of Wyoming's labor market. Everybody should have received a copy of the annual report. It's also available on our website, and you can see the link there to our site. We do have a limited number of extra print copies remaining, so if you need one or a couple, please let me know. I'll keep this presentation as brief as possible and go over some of the highlights from each chapter. Really quick, would like to note too, there are a few slides that are marked with an update tag that will discuss data that have become available since the annual report was published. And also, unfortunately, we picked up two slides that have some different data here than what I'm going to talk about, and I'll mention those when we get to them. Next slide, please. To begin with, chapter 2, can you go back one? There we go. Thank you. Chapter 2 looks at annual employment and wages using data from the Quarterly Census of Employment and Wages, or QCEW. The data in this chapter show that from 2021 to 2022, Wyoming added approximately 6,400 jobs, which was a 2.4% increase. Total wages increased by $1.2 billion, which was an 8.8% increase. And the state's average weekly wage was $1,083, which was up 6.2% over the year. Next slide, please. This is one of the update slides I mentioned with data from first quarter 2023, which has become available since the report was published. From first quarter 2022 to first quarter 2023, Wyoming added more than 6,300 jobs, which was an increase of 2.4%. We added nearly $400 million more in total wages, an increase of 10.7%. And the average weekly wage was $1,147, an 8.1% increase. Next slide, please. Oh, nope, that's the one I need. That's the one I need. QCEW data provide us with job growth by industry. Nearly every industry added jobs from 2021 to 2022. The greatest increases were seen in leisure and hospitality, which added about 1,600 jobs, or an increase of 4.5%. Mining added about 1,500 jobs, or 10.4%. And professional and business services added nearly 1,000 jobs, which was a 5.1% increase. Next slide. Another one of our update slides here, this wasn't included in the report, but I thought it was worth pointing out the consistent growth that we've seen in coal mining over the last several quarters. As of first quarter 2023, coal mining showed 5 consecutive quarters of over-the-year job growth. And the last time that happened, that we saw 5 consecutive quarters of over-the-year job growth in coal mining, was in 2010 to 2011. So it's been quite a while. Next slide, please. Now, as you can see from this slide, it's worth keeping in mind that coal employment is considerably lower than it was just a few years ago. But as you can see at the end here, we have seen some growth in recent quarters. Next slide. This is one of the slides I mentioned where we have some different data. This one was not updated, and I have some more current data on here. Looking at job gains by county, the numbers here are not correct. The top counties that added jobs were actually Natrona County, which added 1,400 jobs. Teton County added 1,300 jobs. Campbell County added 1,200, and Albany County added 574. Next slide. Chapter 3 looks at population estimates from the U.S. Census Bureau. Wyoming's population in 2022, you can see here, was 581,381. Population was up about 1,900 people compared to 2021, which was a 0.3% increase. The population was also up compared to the pre-pandemic level from 2019, which was 578,759. And also over the last 10 years, from 2012 to 2022, Wyoming's population increased by almost 5,100 people, which was just under a 1% increase. This figure from Chapter 3 shows population change from 2020 to 2022. The dark blue counties here saw the greatest percentage increases in population, and they also coincidentally saw the greatest numerical increases. Sheridan County, for example, had the greatest population increase of 1,091 people, which was a 3.5% increase. And Lincoln County was the second highest with an additional 1,003 people, or a 5.1% increase. Chapter 4 focuses on data from the Local Area Unemployment Statistics Program, or LAUS, which may be one of the programs you're most familiar with. This is where we report the unemployment rate from. LAUS data include the labor force, the number of employed, number of unemployed, and the unemployment rate. And we can see here the increase in the labor force from 289,000 in 2021 to just over nearly 292,000 in 2022. The number of employed also went up from 275,748 to 281,343, while the number of unemployed people went down. In 2022, it was 10,413, which is actually the lowest unemployed number of individuals we've had in the last decade. From 2021 to 2022, the unemployment rate dropped from 4.6% to 3.6%. And so to sum this up, we've seen recent increases in the labor force and the number of people employed, but we're still lower than we were in pre-pandemic levels from 2019. In case you're wondering, Wyoming's most recent seasonally adjusted unemployment rate we have was 3.0% for July, and our August 2023 data will be published next week. Chapter 5 looks at annual unemployment insurance claims data, such as the number of UI benefit recipients and the total amount of benefits paid. The number of people receiving benefits decreased by approximately half over the year, from 20,536 in 2021 to 10,597 in 2022. The number of people who exhausted their benefits decreased by approximately 3/4, from nearly 7,000 to 1,660. And the benefit exhaustion rate dropped quite a bit, from 32.6% to 15.7%. The total amount of benefits paid also decreased by approximately 3/4, from $159 million to $41 million. It's worth noting in this slide here that the 10,597 UI benefit recipients from 2022 marked the lowest level for any year dating back to 1997, which is the first year for which we have comparable data. Chapter 6 looks at the number of job openings in Wyoming by using data from the BLS's program called JOLTS, which stands for Job Openings and Labor Turnover Survey. Wyoming had an estimated 22,000 job openings in January 2023 compared to 11,360 unemployed individuals. In other words, there were approximately 2 job openings for each unemployed person, making it difficult for employers to find workers. I think this is similar to what Director Cooley was mentioning at the start of the meeting today. Just a quick update. I looked up the most recent data that we have and found that we're an estimated 20,000 job openings in June 2023 and about 9,000 unemployed individuals. So again, we're still at about the same 2-to-1 ratio. Chapter 7 looks at demographics of Wyoming's workforce, which was accomplished by linking data from several of our administrative databases. These numbers represent individuals working in Wyoming at any time during the year. So this may be a person who worked one day, or it may be a person who worked all 4 quarters. The overall number of people in Wyoming, the number of people working in Wyoming at any time during the year increased by about 6,500 people, or 1.9% from 2021 to 2022. The top of the table shows a decrease in resident males and females working in Wyoming, but an increase in non-residents. Non-residents are individuals that we do not have demographic data for. These are usually individuals who commute to Wyoming from another state or another country for work. They may also be individuals who moved to Wyoming for work but had not established residency by the end of the year, and we'll typically pick up data on them as they establish residency. Figure 7.2 on page 42 of the annual report shows the change in the number of people working in Wyoming from 2000 to 2022 by age. This kind of looks like a bit of a mess and maybe a little tough to follow. But if we go to the next slide, there's one area I want to zoom in on. This circled area up here shows the number, the special decline of 2 groups. And if we move to the next slide, we'll zoom in even further. And when we zoom in here, we notice a substantial decline in workers ages 25 to 34 and those 54 and older from 2019 to 2022, so prior to the pandemic until now. The number of those 25 to 34 declined by almost 9,000 or 12.8%, and the number 55 and older declined by almost 7,000 or 9.3%. And there are some different possibilities for the decline in each group. We've done research showing the decline in younger workers could be due to them leaving the state, living in Wyoming, but working in another state, which would include teleworking, or working gig style jobs that aren't covered by unemployment insurance and don't show up in our data. The decline in older workers could be due to a large number of them retiring. In chapter 7 in the report, there's some discussion about a national retirement boom during the pandemic. Moving on to chapter 8, we look at educational attainment in Wyoming and the U.S. by using data from the Census Bureau's American Community Survey. For example, here in 2021, we see that Wyoming had a greater percentage of individuals with a high school diploma or higher compared to the U.S., or 93.6% versus the national average of 89.4%. However, Wyoming trailed the national average when it came to individuals with a bachelor's degree or higher. We had 29.2% compared to the 35% national average. In other words, here in Wyoming, we have a greater percentage of the population with a high school diploma, but we have a smaller percentage with a bachelor's degree or higher. Chapter 9 looks at our most recent short-term industry and occupational projections for 2022 to 2024. Overall, Wyoming's projected to add nearly 6,000 jobs in that 2-year period from 2022 to 2024. At the industry level, the greatest growth is projected to be in industries like mining and healthcare. And then at the occupational level, leading growth occupations are roustabouts and heavy and tractor trailer truck drivers. Table 9.3 on page 51 of the report shows the top 5 occupations for total openings for each educational level. So for example, the top 5 openings for occupations requiring a high school diploma or a bachelor's degree or a master's degree. For example, this excerpt shows the top 5 occupations requiring a post-secondary non-degree award or some college and no degree. In addition to projected growth, our occupational projections also show us the number of openings due to people leaving the workforce or exits, people changing careers to a different occupation, which are transfers, And our total openings refers to the sum of exits, transfers, and growth or new jobs. So for example, if we look at heavy and tractor trailer truck drivers, which is the line right up there underneath the red line, we see the following. We see that we're projected to have 626 openings due to exits or people leaving the workforce, 953 exits due to transfers or people changing occupations, and 274 due to growth. So the total number of openings for heavy and tractor trailer truck drivers for the next 2 years is 1,853. And this type of information is available on our website for each of the occupations that we have data for. Just a quick update. We also published long-term projections for Wyoming at the sub-state level for 2020 to 2030. Those are on our website. So for example, if you wanted to look at projections for the northwest region of the state or the southeast region of the state, you could do that. Our long-term projections are done every 2 years, and next July we'll publish our newest ones, which will be for 2022 to 2032. Chapter 10 looks at STEM occupations in Wyoming based on data from the Occupational Employment and Wage Statistics Program, or OEWS. STEM stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics. And the BLS has identified more than 100 STEM occupations. Wyoming data were available for 75 of those. And OEWS data show that in May 2021, there were 11,940 STEM jobs in Wyoming, or 4.3% of all jobs were STEM jobs. STEM occupations tend to have significantly higher wages, and almost all of them require post-secondary education. Chapter 11 is based on our Wyoming Benefits Survey. This is a survey that we took a break from during the pandemic since so many employers were closed or short-staffed. And our newest data come from first quarter 2022. The Benefits Survey collects data on benefits such as health insurance, paid leave, and retirement programs. And we identified both the number and percentage of the employers offering benefits and the employees who were offered benefits. So for example, in first quarter 2022, we found that 65.2% of all employees were offered health insurance, 39.4% were offered paid sick leave, and 71.3% were offered access to a retirement plan. And in our publication, we'll look at break that out by industry and county and region and employer firm size and things like that. Chapters 12 and 13 look at some recent special studies by RNP that were published in our monthly publication, Wyoming Labor Force Trends. Chapter 12 looks at multiple job holders in Wyoming and the US, and Chapter 13 focuses on teen drivers and workers in Wyoming. Chapter 12 looks at on table 12, page 1, table 12.1 on page 60 looks at multiple job holders in Wyoming by gender. And we found that women were more likely than men to hold multiple jobs at the same time. And in third quarter 2021, we had 10,632 women holding multiple jobs consecutively, compared to 6,895 men. In other words, approximately 1 in 10 women, 11.5%, held more than one job continuously. Chapter 13 looks at teen drivers and workers in Wyoming, specifically from 2010 to 2021. And we found that despite a 2.8% increase in the population of teens ages 15 to 18, Wyoming saw a 1% increase in licensed drivers and a 7.1% increase in teens working from 2010 to 2021. Now, this is a change from research we did 2013, which showed several years of declining teen drivers and workers dating back to 2008 and the Great Recession. Chapter 14 discusses on-the-job fatalities in Wyoming based on data collected through the Census of Fatal Occupational Injuries, or CFOI. There were 27 occupational fatalities in 2021, down from 35 in 2020. More than 1 in 3, 37% of all on-the-job fatalities were transportation incidents. This is another one where I have a correction that I didn't get made in time, but 10 of those fatalities were in natural resources and mining, and 7 were actually in transportation and warehousing, not construction. Chapter 15 looks at occupational safety and health with data from the Survey of Occupational Injuries and Illnesses. In 2020, Wyoming's injury and illness rate was 3.1%, meaning there were 3.1 injuries or illnesses per 100 full-time workers. The highest incidence rates were found in healthcare related industries. For example, local government nursing and residential care facilities had an incidence rate of 14 per 100 full-time workers. With that, I'll go ahead and wrap up the presentation. I know it was a lot of data to sort through, and I hope I got through it quickly enough for you. But thank you for inviting us to speak here today and for looking over the annual report. Again, if you need any more, please don't hesitate to let me know. And if you have any questions or you need any assistance finding any particular data, please feel free to reach out to Tony or me. Our phone numbers and email addresses are provided on this slide.
Great. Thank you, Michael. I don't know about all of you, but I love all the data, all the numbers. I was actually thinking about, with all these, great annual reports that the department puts out. Has anyone heard of an LLM before? Large language learning model? That's all based on AI. So being able to feed data like this to be able to help predict what's going to happen. But it's like, I just love it. So any discussion from council regarding from our research that you see? Like that's
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
So in regards to, I think it was chapter 12, talking about STEM, the trend lately has been to open up that acronym to STEAM to include arts occupations within those statistics. So would love to just kind of put maybe the bug in the ear to think about that for next year and start including some of those creative occupations within the statistics for the annual report next year. So
I'm sorry, could you repeat that? You kind of echoed at the beginning there and broke up a little bit.
Hold on, Michael, we're getting you.
Oh, okay.
Michael, repeat that again.
My apologies, Mr. Chairman. That last comment had quite a bit of an echo at the beginning, so I couldn't hear that. If you could repeat it.
Okay, now go.
Does that sound better?
Yes.
Cool. I had just made the comment that the trend lately has been to open up the acronym, talking about STEM acronym to be STEAM, including the arts occupations. So would love for that to just be part of the conversation going forward on these annual reports and being able to really see what the creative environment looks like in Wyoming as well in context of all of that. So thank you.
Great, thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
The STEM info was interesting too for a different reason for me. It made me wonder, is it possible, like the 22,000 openings? Is there a way, Michael, this is Ron Goldberg. Hello. Old print newspaper buddy. I was wondering if it was able to kind of decipher like median or better wage or county wages comparisons for the jobs and which level, like the STEM tends to pay higher, which other occupations in all these openings have an opportunity to pay higher. Just curious.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, members of council, we actually have one of our economists looking into something similar at the regional level right now. I'm working on an article on that we'll have published later on this year.
Thanks.
Lots of information to digest for sure. All right. Well,
Michael and Tony, thanks so much.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you all for all that you do. Lots and lots of good stuff there. So yeah, this is kind of like my morning coffee, Saturday morning tea. This is great stuff. So lots of information to glean from here to make informed decisions around. So that basically, I'm going to go ahead and move out to where we're at. So
to be doing our travel to Meadowwool. Here, positive things. A little private tour. I think they're actually staying open for us. I don't know if that's true or not, but yeah. So we're gonna from 4 to 4:15. We're gonna have time to Mountain Wolf. We will have a 4-5-minute tour from Meadow until 5. You will have an hour to go. And then there's the optional, if you want to join us for dinner tonight, we're going to be meeting around at the Southside Grill, and hopefully we can grab some grub and all that stuff. And so I'm going to go ahead and call this and we begin tomorrow morning at 3. So see you all at Mountain Meadow Wool. Let's go check it out. Thank you all. Great conversations today.
Good to see everybody too. I've already toured it.